Ye have received the spirit of adoption.
Mm-hmm.
What's that spirit of
That's
adoption?
the Holy Spirit.
But why do they call it spirit of adoption?
Because that's what claims you.
Okay,
What is the only that testify that you are of God is the Holy Spirit. Is the only reason why. You know, Bible says that those who are led by the Spirit of God are the sons of God. The only thing that seals our sonship is the Holy Spirit. He is the seal of our sonship. That's why he call it the spirit of adoption. So it's the seal of our sonship. So for Solomon, you are seeing a similar covenant. And I tell you, God chastised Solomon many times. God disciplined, but what thing? God did not cast him away. So the problem with Saul was because God took his Holy Spirit away from him. That was the problem. It was not about the tormenting spirit. If the Holy Spirit is somewhere, tormenting spirit has no place. Bible says where there is light, darkness will disappear. So the problem is, it is the Holy Spirit that God took away from Saul. And why that is because Saul was never a son. He was just a man that was picked to do an assignment, and he didn't do what God wanted him to do. He was disobedient to the master, and he took him out. And he put David. David was obedient, and he said, your son established sonship. And through Jesus, we have sonship. So we are in a much better state. Now, back to that discipline again. Hebrews chapter 12, from verse 5. Because God clearly disciplines us, and we need that discipline. Hebrews chapter 12, from verse 5. It says, and you have forgotten the exhortation which speaks to you as to sons. You see that? Look at the way he's starting this discipline now. He started it as what? Sons. Sons. Said, and you have forgotten the exhortation which speak to you as to sons. So the exhortation, the discipline is coming as to sons, because you're sons. He says, my son, do not despise the chastening. Please let me go to NLT so that we can see discipline. Because that chastening may look like it's some very hard kind of, He said, and have you forgotten the encouraging words God spoke to you as his children? The encouraging word. That means even in his discipline, there's encouragement in it. You are too stubborn. You are too stubborn. But I know you can do better. You can do better. So he says, and have you forgotten the encouraging words God spoke to you as his children? He said, my child, don't make light of the Lord's discipline, and don't give up when he corrects you. For the Lord disciplines those he loves, and he punishes each one he accepts as his child. As you endure this divine discipline, remember that God is treating you as his own children. Whoever head of a child who is never disciplined by his father. Now, let me say this to you. With Saul, God did not discipline Saul. I hope we know that. God did not what? Discipline Saul. God simply took his spirit from him. God did not discipline Saul. God did what? He took his spirit away. He said, you know what? I don't have anything to do with you anymore. I'm done with you. Boom. Take my spirit and go. But God disciplined Moses, David. Remember when David did the census and made the terrible mistake? And God gave him 3 options. What should I do to you? You have made a mistake. Why do you go and count the people? Should I commit you to the hand of your enemy? Should I bring a sickness, a plague upon the people? Or should you fall into the hand of the Lord? Is that not what it says? And David said, you know what? I don't want to fall into men's hand. They are wicked. They will finish me. If so, they will slaughter me instantly. I don't want to fall into the man. Let me fall into your hand because you are merciful. And David fell into the hand of the Lord. And when discipline started, Bible says he didn't even complete one day. God already had mercy. God already had mercy. So he said, my son, when I discipline you, I do it as a child. As you are my child. That's why I'm doing it. As you are my child. And I'm encouraging you is to correct you. And I'm sure David will not make that mistake again. It's to correct you. It's not to destroy you. So he said, if God disciplines you as he does all of his children, it means that you are illegitimate. If God doesn't discipline you, as he does all of his children, it means that you are illegitimate. You are not his child. And are not really his children at all. At all. Since we respected our earthly fathers who discipline us, shouldn't we submit even more to the discipline of the Father of our spirits and live forever? Verse 10. For our earthly father disciplined us for a few years, doing the best they knew how. But God's discipline is always good for us, so that we might share in his holiness. No discipline is enjoyable while it is happening. It is painful, but afterward, there will be peaceful harvest of right living for those who have been trained in this way. Now, for Saul, no discipline at all. God just said, you know you, Saul, I just pick you up from if you read the story, what God said, you know you are nobody. I just pick you up from nowhere. I decided to make you king. Now you are disobeying me. You know what? Just give me my spirit. Go and do whatever you want. And God took his spirit away. And tormenting spirit came upon him, started tormenting him. That was what happened to Saul. But with David, because his heart was very loyal to God, that's the reason why. And the election of God, who can question it? God disciplined David. Even when he sinned. Remember when he sinned with Uriah? You see discipline. The Lord sent Nathan to go and tell David a story. And when Nathan got there, he told him a story. David was furious. That, who is that man? Let's go kill that man. Let's go. God said, you are the one. You are the wicked one. You. And we saw the discipline that God did. That child, from that affair, that child died. Even though David begged God with fasting and prayer, the child died. Because there's going to be a repercussion for what you have done, for the wrong thing. But God did not cast him away. And the second offense was the one of the census. And we saw God discipline again. God disciplined him. So God disciplines his child, but his discipline is not to destroy us. His discipline is to correct